We now welcome on a very special guest. He is Tyler Watson. Tyler is a left-handed starting pitcher in the Minnesota Twins organization. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at Steamed Fruit. Tyler, how are we doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I got to start there. Your social media handle is fantastic. What's the backstory there? Why Steamed Fruit?
I get that question a lot. It's pretty much just random. And when I was a freshman in high school, I had a lot of random stuff. Like the one prior to that was Math Master 314. My header was holding a math book. And then I wanted to be steamed vegetables, but it was too long.
Oh,
so
was it?
I condensed it to steamed fruit.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take it back to high school. So were you a multi-sport guy, or were you kind of always focus in on baseball growing up?
I really liked football, but I went to a spring camp my sophomore year, and my dad and mom didn't want me to get hurt, so I couldn't play anymore.
You're from Arizona, right?
Correct.
Okay. So was pitching your main focus when it came to baseball, or did they kind of have you rotate around?
Well, it's funny. I actually loved hitting more than anything, and I didn't realize I was going to be a pitcher until my best friend, one of my best friends, Kyle Huckabee. He told me that we're talking about it, and he said, "Hey, you're going to be a pitcher. You know that, right?" And I'm like, "I mean, I'm a first baseman. I love playing. I'm really good at first." And he's like, "Well, you're 6'4", and this was when I was a sophomore and junior. He's like, 6'4", and you're a lefty. You're going to be a pitcher." And so that's when I kind of started shifting focus. Instead of taking so much time in the cages, I started doing more drills and pitching.
See, that's interesting. You're right. I was going to say, was there somebody who kind of said, "Hey, man, you're really tall and you're left-handed. That almost immediately guarantees you to have some success throwing the ball." So that's
Right.
really cool. So describe your pitching style for us. Like, what's your pitch mix like? Are you a hard thrower? Like, what's Tyler Watson? What's the breakdown?
So out of the draft, I was a curveball, fastball, changeup guy, and I had a splitter. But so when I got to the Nationals, we worked with everything, and I was doing really well. And then right around, I got traded in 2017, and right around then, about 2, maybe 3 games before that, they dropped me down to a 3/4 guy, and I was way over the top before that. And so once that happened, it was really hard for me to adjust, and I still didn't adjust even last season. Still felt funky, and the rhythm wasn't there. But now I'm a 3/4 guy, and I throw a slider, but I still have a fastball and changeup.
Ooh, okay. So when we start talking about tall lefties that have a nasty slider, so I mean, I'm just thinking Randy Johnson. So who are some of the people that you kind of look up to or kind of try to model yourself after?
It was always Clayton Kershaw,
Yes.
and that was kind of hard for me because I can't from 3/4 because he's kind of over the top as well.
Yeah.
From 3/4, it's really hard for me to throw a curveball, so that's why we had to throw a slider. And he's that guy who throws. He knows there's fastballs going every time,
Mm.
and his curveball is huge, and it's maybe 20 miles per hour slower than what his fastball is, and that's what I was trying to be like. Now I have to. Even though I don't throw 97 like Chris Sale, that's what I kind of got to go about.
Okay, so what do you top out at it, like on the gun?
I topped out at 93 this year, or last year,
So
but it's an 89, 90.
okay, so you kind of have to rely on like location and stuff. Like you're not overpowering guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's a lot of getting ground balls and getting the good counts and making sure that I can be better equipped than the hitter is.
Okay, that's really interesting. So let's move ahead to the draft. You were taken in the 34th round. That's number 1,034 overall in the 2015 draft by the Nats. Looking back, so what's your reaction to kind of going 34th round that late? Were you just happy to be drafted, or did you kind of feel that you deserved to be taken a little earlier?
Well, I was kind of disappointed. I actually was napping when I got drafted because after day 2, it's like you're not going to get the money that you wanted, and so I was just expecting to go to college. My scout called me, and I was napping. He woke me up and said, "Hey, we just wanted to let you know we drafted you, and we're going to follow you throughout your college career, and we hope you the best." It's like, cool. So then I went to my college orientation. I still have my ID, and I had all my classes ready. And then when I got back, right before the deadline, I got some phone calls, and we negotiated everything, and it worked out, and then I signed.
That's awesome, man. So did kind of 34th round, you're a later guy. Did that kind of put a chip on your shoulder when you did eventually start in the minor leagues? Like, did you feel you have to prove people wrong for taking you that late?
Well, I've always been the one to not really care about that and just prove myself. Like, I actually started with hitting because club teams in Arizona, there's so many of them, and if I were to play with a club team for just a weekend just to fill, I always start probably 7-hole, 8-hole first base, and then throughout the tournament, I get up to fourth or third, and that's what really kind of sculpted me into not even really thinking about what other people think and just kind of putting my head down and grinding.
That's a really interesting way of thinking about it. Just letting your work on the field do the talking, as opposed to just being like a really loud kind of. Okay, I get that. So you're actually the second minor league pitcher I've had on here. I've had another guy, Robbie Rowland, on here, and he talked about his transition from being in high school to being drafted out of high school and moving away and playing baseball on a daily basis. What was that transition like for you? Was there any kind of bumps in the road early on?
No. I mean, I had a girlfriend at the time, and it was one of those things where I just would call her, and I'm really shy at first, so it's hard for me to branch out when I get to a new team. And so I would just walk around Viera, Florida, and just talk to my girlfriend or talk to my dad or mom and just keep myself occupied. And then I started reading more, which is actually pretty cool that I was in the hotel and I had nothing other to do, so that's what I did.
Ooh, okay. What kind of stuff are you reading? Is it sports related, or what are you reading?
Well, it's been transitioning a lot as I've grown, but at first, since I had come into the money, it was a lot of business and stuff like that.
Oh, that's smart.
I just myself on that. But now it's a lot of mental stuff and philosophical.
Okay. So let's talk about that for a second. So from what I've read, being on these teams, were you always kind of the youngest guy on these teams? How did that work with you and your teammates? That dynamic?
Yeah, I'm a May birthday, so I've always been the youngest guy, even though we're all the same grade.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been the youngest guy. Like Little League, I had another year when all my friends graduated, or not graduated, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When all the people went to the next level, I was still a major as a 12-year-old. So I've always been used to it. But when I was drafted, I just kind of got used to the people being older. And like I said, I was very shy, and people helped me. They took me under their wing, so it was really cool, and I got to learn how to be that type of leader and take other people. Like I have a buddy now, Blaine Enlow. He's 19, and I think I tried to take that role for him. So it's really cool that they helped me out.
Ooh, okay. See, from everything I read about you and like the scouting and everything, it said that he does really well when he's facing competition like above his level. Like when he's facing guys that are older and more experienced. Everything I've seen is like this guy is cool, calm, and collected, and he just gets it done. So in my research, my very extensive research, I saw that in June of 2017, you were with the Hagerstown Suns. You faced the Columbia Fireflies. I have to ask, was Tim Tebow in the lineup that night?
He was.
Let's go. Can we talk about this? What was the end result? Like, what was Tebow's line against you?
I don't think Tebow got on. I think I had like 10 strikeouts that game, so it was a good game for me.
Oh, so you were just cooking through those guys. All right, so
that good back then though. He's really good now, but he just started that year, so
that's true.
He wasn't that good.
Yeah, 2017, Tim Tebow. It was almost like a novelty him playing baseball because you're right. Everybody was kind of unsure, like why is he doing this? Can he even play baseball? But for you though, I mean, were you a Tebow guy like before that?
I mean, no, I'm not really much of a college football guy, and you know how Tim Tebow's kind of a novelty. He was the guy who always prayed and stuff like that, and that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, I never really followed his career, and I actually was out there listening because they had it was on a Sunday. They had chapel, and so I had to do my routine, but I wanted to catch it at the end, so I was sitting on the very side, just kind of like sitting there with my head down listening, and then it was really cool because as soon as it ended, Tebow got up and said, "Hey man, you can just come join us next time." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." So yeah, so that really put him on a pedestal for me.
See, if I were you, because like I didn't follow him in college, but like his rise to NFL and literally everybody, not just in sports, but everybody was talking about Tim Tebow. And if I were you and I was facing him, I would fangirl out and I would put him right down the middle. I would put it on a T for him. That's what I would have done. But I'm glad to hear that you took it to him.
Yeah. I actually have a strikeout. Someone recorded it, and it's on my phone. It's pretty fun.
What were the conversations like in your dugout when you had to go play? Was it at home or was it in Columbia?
It was at home.
Okay.
It was actually, because, like I said, it was right when he started. He was doing really bad. And so the day before my buddy started, and we always make fun of him, Mackenzie Mills, and he's really nasty now. He's always been nasty, but he gave up a hit every time to Tebow. Awesome. We just make fun of him so much. So I couldn't give up a hit, or else I would have looked horrible too.
Oh, that's so funny. So was there kind of like the circus coming to town when he came through? Was there just like a mass? I mean, I'm sure he came to my local minor league team is the Delmarva Shorebirds, and I'm sure you're familiar with them. And like when I went there on Tebow night, because it was like the freaking Beatles were there. I mean, there's people everywhere, and like I waited in the rain for like 3.5 hours just to like get him to sign my ball really quickly. What was that like as the home team seeing Tebow Mania?
Well, he definitely made our owners a lot of money. It was unbelievable. There's 3 nights, and every single night sold out.
That's fantastic. Yeah, on the one night I went, he didn't even play, so I got a really good seat, like right behind their dugout, and I stared at the back of his head. It was great. So yeah, Tebow Mania. So yeah, like I said, so I live on Delmarva, so I go to the Shorebirds a lot. What were kind of your memories of coming to Salisbury and Delmarva to play the Shorebirds? Did anything kind of stand out there?
The clouds. It seemed to always be rainy. I actually did really well against the Shorebirds twice. From what I remember, it was a Sunday and then a Saturday that almost got rained out. And but I remember facing Jake Ring, and that dude was nasty. I don't know what he's up to, but I just remember him. He was good.
So if you had to pick, so you've been on a lot of teams, you've had a lot of teammates. Who is the one guy that you played with that you could, or played against for that matter, that you could kind of just tell that this guy is it? He is like, you could tell that he's going to be something really special.
Juan Soto.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's. I was going to say that's probably what I would have said.
Yeah, and he's not supposed to be in the big leagues this fast, but he did it, and he's successful. So if we're going to talk about minor leaguers, I'm going to go with Alex Kirilloff. He's with the Twins, and he's 20, 21 years old. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's unbelievable. He just knows how to hit it to gap, use the whole field. Really...
Is that a potential futures game participant, you think?
Absolutely. I don't know if he was in it this year, but I feel like he was. But I think next year, if he wasn't this year, definitely next year.
That's super cool. So also, back in 2017, you mentioned it before, but you were traded by the Nats, who drafted you, to the Twins. Is it fair to say that you were the centerpiece of that deal? Because I think it was just was it a 1-for-1 deal there?
Yeah, it was 1-for-1.
Yeah. So what were your emotions like from that? Because obviously you went from the team that drafted you. You probably started forming bonds there in the farm system. And so what was that like being transplanted into the Twins?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple different dynamics that I had to get used to. So I was about to pitch that day. And like I said, I just dropped from 3/4. And my last 2 outings were unbelievably horrible. And so my confidence was kind of low. I was sitting on the couch with my headphones on, getting ready, mentally locked in. And my manager, who was really scary, he came in and he pointed at me and said, he just went, so I was like, oh my God. I was trying to, through the 3-second walk that it took to get the office, I was trying to run everything that happened, trying to figure out if I was in trouble or not.
What did I do wrong?
Yeah, so then he got our minor league director on the phone and put on speaker, Doug Harris, and he said, hey, Tyler, you ready to pitch today? And I was like, yes, sir. And he said, well, you're not going to. We just traded you to the Twins. So that at that point, when he said we just trade you, you just kind of start feeling the room spin, and it's not like I was super emotional about it. It's just like you're thinking of everything you're trying to understand everything that's going on. But it was pretty cool. Um, but after that, like I said, I'm pretty shy at the get go, and I think it's because I'm so weird. I don't want people to think I'm really weird and just think I'm weird. So I have to let people kind of easily move into my personality.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to get used to the twins and kind of open up, but that's something I had to leave behind with the Nationals because I had made so many friends after being the quiet guy.
I completely everything you're saying. I completely understand everything because like I just started a new job, and you don't want to be like you don't want to be this like the center. You kind of keep your head down, and then you kind of like go through and you slowly make progress because you're right. Us quiet guys,
Yeah.
it's not fun. So that's good to know that I'm not alone there. Um, did it feel good for you though, knowing that a team wanted you, like you specifically, and that you were the guy?
Yeah, absolutely. It made me feel like I said with the 3 quarters, the confidence going low. It made me feel like a priority. Made me feel um, very wanted. So I'm thankful for the Twins.
That's really cool. All right, so you went from the East Coast, and now you find yourself in the Midwest with the Cedar Rapids Colonels. By the way, fantastic minor league name. I think if we're
Yeah.
gonna list the minor league team names on how cool they are, that's top two. I gotta be honest.
Dude, really?
Yeah, Montgomery Biscuits number one. You can't. They're up here.
Yeah.
So
They're
if
different.
of all the cool minor league names, does any stand out to you that is just like so out of the ordinary and awesome?
I haven't come. I think those ones come around in like Double A, the weird ones, but I haven't come across anything too interesting. I like the our new affiliate, the Wahoos.
The
Those are
Wahoos.
fun. Yeah.
Is that like the Cleveland Indians Chief Wahoo, or is that something different?
I have no clue what it means. We're the Pensacola Wahoos, I think.
Pensacola Wahoos. All right, I have to keep that in mind. Um, so I got to ask, the mascot of the Cedar Rapids Colonels is this thing, Mr. Shucks. It's like Mr. Met head with like a Brian Coangelo from the 76ers collar that's way too big. Does it ever just kind of weird you out, like just being around it, or what's your reaction to Mr. Shucks?
No, Mr. Shucks, the actual mascot inside of it, is one of the most lively and into it and animated people that could have been in that mascot. So I'm so happy that he is around. And he never talks. He's always in character if he has that thing on. So it's pretty fun.
Not a piece of corn.
No,
That really threw me off there.
he's just a baseball head.
What's it like living in Cedar Rapids or during the season? Because I'm sure you don't live there in the off season. But like when your time there in the Midwest, like what's your reactions being there?
It was the first time I saw falling snow, and it was, I mean, it was awesome. It's just another experience. Yeah, I tend to be negative about a lot of things. So it was definitely cold, but I enjoyed it, and I actually met some people out in Iowa that were pretty fun and cool. So, I mean, it's all about the experiences and how you adapt to them. But I had a wonderful host family who I grew pretty close to, and they were really nice and welcomed me and my roommate in.
Is that how it works in the minor leagues? Like obviously you're not making a ton of money, so you have to kind of stay with host families. So is that how that works in all levels and up until you start making the big bucks? You kind of
Yeah, so in Hawaii, I'm pretty sure with other affiliates or other organizations, you get your apartment. But here we just stay at the academy, which is where I'm at right now. And it's like 200 something a month. And that's when you're in high. But after double A, I think you get an apartment.
ooh, okay, moving up in the world.
Yes.
So I want to get your take on this because this has to do with minor league baseball. Are you familiar with Kyler Murray, the Oklahoma quarterback, and his? Okay, but for those of you who don't know, Oklahoma Heisman-winning quarterback Kyler Murray, he was drafted by the A's back in June, and Major League Baseball in Oakland came to this agreement where they would change a rule to allow them to potentially sign him to the 40-man roster to a big league contract and give him a ton of guaranteed money just to not play football. It's not looking like that's the case because he said he wants to enter the NFL draft. But let's say Murray takes that A's offer and says, I changed my mind. I want to go back and play minor league baseball. And he starts making millions. as someone who has some time in the minors, what would your reaction be to that? Or do you think it would be different for the guys that have been grinding for 5, 6, 7 years?
No. I think he's a great ball player, and he has a lot of leverage. And if I were in his position, I would definitely use that.
Okay. See, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, well, I mean, it would kind of put him on the fast track. He'd be getting a ton of money. So I think I was thinking some guys might be a little resentful, but that's cool that you would say that he just kind of has to follow his heart and do what he wants to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to think about sometimes things aren't fair, and that dude is one of the only, if not only, person who's a Heisman winner and has the opportunity to also be a first-round draft pick. So if you're going to be from a smart standpoint, you're going to use your leverage and try and get as much money as you can.
If you were Kyler Murray and you were in this situation where you're presented with two choices, which would you choose?
That's a good question because I love baseball, but I mean, could you imagine being a quarterback in the NFL off the bat?
It's pretty sweet.
You're right in there. He's a Heisman winner. He's going to be one of the most famous people in popular media for a long time. And if he was a minor league ball player, I don't know if he would get that much attention. It's not guaranteed that he'd even make it to the big leagues, where he's going to be guaranteed making to the NFL.
That's a good point. Like arbitration until he gets to free agency, that whole process is entirely different than NFL quarterbacks whose contracts are largely guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
That's super cool. And plus, you played football too, so I can imagine that you probably had thought about this before I asked about it.
yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah, it's like a 1 in a million. You probably never see a guy like this come out where it's like, well, he could probably do both. That's awesome. So, all right, let's talk about this offseason. So, what are you doing this offseason to improve your game? Is there something you're working on in particular?
Yeah, I'm working out a lot heavier. And so the past few years, I had a trainer, and we've done a lot of baseball workouts to gain strength, and I haven't really bulked. I've definitely gained weight, but I didn't really get the physicality that I was looking for. And so this year, he got a job with the Angels, and I didn't have a trainer. So I just went to LA Fitness, and I just grinded with lots of weight and put on. I was 230-ish around the end of the season. Now I'm 244. So I'm just trying to have a lot of mass, if you will. But in terms of pitching, we're doing a lot of like type of driveline stuff, and I'm actually here in Florida for a camp that's a preseason camp, and it's 6 weeks long, and we're just doing long toss, pull downs, lots of stuff that's in the new age of baseball.
Is that kind of like the weighted ball? Are you doing anything with that? Because I know Zach Britton did that, and he went from throwing 90 to like 98. Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We do that twice a week, the weighted balls, and a lot of it is just quality of movement with your hips and your legs and the coordination of you stepping and where your arms are. So it's actually, like I said, where I wasn't very fluid with my 3/4 arm slot. It feels I threw a bullpen right before I came out to Florida about a week ago, and it felt great. I've been just throwing long toss for the past couple weeks, and that was the first time I felt good.
That's awesome. All right, so I want to kind of wrap up our interview with a lightning round of questions. We're going to go through them all. Tyler, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Favorite sports teams?
Red Sox, Patriots.
Red Sox, Patriots. All right. Any superstitions? Starting pitchers.
Oh man, I have to shave my face. And I have to brush my teeth right before I pitch. I have to feel clean. I have to clip my nails, all that.
What was your backup plan in case baseball didn't pan out? And what would you be doing for a living?
That's a good question. I was going to go to Loyola Marymount for a business degree and see what happens. My dad owns a land development company, so if I had to, I'd just work for him.
What's your favorite meal to eat before a big game?
Ooh, that's all. That just varies because if I do good and I eat Chick-fil-A, then I'm going to eat Chick-fil-A next time.
Ooh.
But actually, in Iowa, I ate a lot of pasta. Noodles and Company, that's what it was. Beef stroganoff. That was often, so that probably is it.
Yeah, it's like starting pitchers. They have like this thing where it's like they're a different breed, and they do like if one thing works, like if they wear like an undershirt or something and they pitch it like really well, you're probably going to keep wearing the undershirt, never wash it, right?
Yep, that's 100% true.
Okay, so what's your favorite city you visited as a minor leaguer and why?
Oh, I loved in short A we went to New York and it was New York City, so I had to do that. But if we're talking about little towns, geez, I don't know. Probably in short A we went to Cal Ripken Jr. That field.
Ooh, in Aberdeen?
Yes, I love that place.
That place is fantastic.
Yes.
All right, here's the final question. It's a big one. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, sure. So you're from Maryland?
Yes, the Eastern Shore.
And how long you lived there?
Entire life, so 22 years.
Nice. And how long have you been doing the podcast?
Almost a year now. Had some awesome guests. I got to be honest, man. If I'm power ranking, you're up. You're 1 or 1A. I got to be honest. You're really awesome.
Thank you very much. I actually tried to do. I didn't try. We were talking about with my buddies to do a podcast this off season, but never materialized because it takes a lot of effort. Like, it takes a lot of commitment and content.
You could do a life as a minor leaguer podcast. That would be really interesting, actually.
It'd be fun. It would be.
And you've already got your executive producer, so I mean, we're getting the ball rolling on that one.
Sure.
We got to talk about that Red Sox Patriots thing, though. Is that has to have came from somewhere? I hope.
Yes, it's not a bandwagon.
Yes,
and I actually was expecting the Patriots to do bad this year, so I could actually be a real fan and not just a hype beast.
Ooh,
but
yeah.
So my dad's from Boston,
okay.
And I grew up with Tom Brady winning 2 in a row, and then the Red Sox winning 04. So I've been a Red Sox Patriots fan my whole life.
What about other sports? Are you a basketball, hockey guy at all?
This is going to sound contradicting because I'm a LeBron James fan,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably the most front runner you can be. But I just want to see him be the best. I want to see him be considered the greatest of all time for sure. So I'm rooting for him.
That's awesome. I mean, if I didn't know you any better, and if I was just looking at a piece of paper and they said Red Sox, Patriots, LeBron, I can already fill in the blanks. You probably like Duke basketball.
No, I don't actually follow. I don't know about college basketball. My buddy, his name is Marcus Howard. He goes to Marquette, and he's unbelievable. So I'm rooting for him.
You're tall enough. That could have been when I asked about second career. It's never too late. You can get in there and get some hoops in.
I need calves though. I can't dunk. I'm 6. I can't dunk.
Yeah, that would be a problem. Look, Tyler, this has been a ton of fun. I just have a request. When, not if. I'm saying when you get to the major leagues. That's a guarantee I'm putting on you. No pressure. First of all, I want you to keep being awesome. I think what you're doing on social media with just like your fun personality and the stuff you're posting on there, I think baseball needs more Tylers. You know what I mean? We need more people with little charisma. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to keep doing that. And also, don't forget about the little people like me, because when you get to the major leagues, I'm definitely going to have you back on, and we're going to have this could be a thing. So
yeah, absolutely. And you're going to be in an actual studio, I guarantee it.
Yes, and it's going to be big time. It's not going to be me in my shitty room. It's going to be, it's going to be awesome. But dude, seriously, thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving me some time to come on and join me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.